After my husband's sister borrowed our vacation fund to start her dream business, she stopped returning our calls. Months later, we caught her on Instagram vacationing in Paris, captioning photos, "Hard work pays off." At Thanksgiving, she had the audacity to toast to self-made success. I pulled out a lawsuit right there at the dinner table. Her face went pale as the whole family watched in silence. Hey, Reddit. I've never written one of these before, but I needed to get this off my chest. This happened over the past year and came to a head at Thanksgiving. It still doesn't feel real sometimes. My name's Caroline. I'm 41. I live just outside Cincinnati with my husband Nate, who's 45. We've been married 14 years. I work as a nurse at a small outpatient surgery center. Nate's a mechanic who owns a modest shop with two other guys. We're regular people. We save. We plan. We don't live flashy lives. But we do dream. And for years, that dream was a 2-week trip to Italy. We started saving right after our 10th anniversary. A little every month. Skipping takeout. Canceling cable. I kept a binder, hotel options in Florence, train schedules from Rome to Venice, sample itineraries. I even started learning Italian on Duolingo. Nate joked that he'd eat so much gelato he'd need to buy a new suitcase just to roll himself home. It was going to be our trip. We had about $9,400 set aside by last summer. Then came Becca. Becca is Nate's younger sister. She's 33, lives in Dayton, and she's always been the wild one. Grew up with zero structure. Nate's parents, especially their mom, always made excuses for her. Becca's the type who gets praised for just showing up to things. Meanwhile, Nate and I are the ones expected to fix everything when she messes up. Becca has tried probably a dozen different business ideas since she was 22. She never finishes what she starts. One year it was handmade candles, then a podcast, then mobile spray tanning. Every time she quits a job or drops a project, there's always some dramatic excuse: toxic work environment, people don't get my vision, etc. Last July, she came to us looking defeated. Said she was finally serious about starting something real, a luxury hair care line. She had investors lined up but needed help covering the cost of her first shipment. She claimed she had manufacturers, branding, packaging, and a whole plan. She was crying. Said she was desperate. She said she only needed $8,200 to get everything moving. Nate looked at me. I told him we needed to talk alone. In the bedroom, I said flat out, "This is a terrible idea. We've been saving for years. She doesn't pay people back." He said, "I know, but what if this time is different?" I wanted to scream, but he's got a soft heart, especially when it comes to family. So I said, "Only if she signs something." Becca signed a handwritten loan agreement. Promised to repay the $8,200 in 60 days. Nate even added a clause for $400 interest. She laughed and said, "You're acting like I'm some kind of con artist." "Don't worry. I got this." We transferred the money that night. Day 60 came. No payment. No explanation. At first it was excuses. Shipping delays. Waiting on my supplier. Then she stopped responding completely. She'd open Nate's texts and leave them on read. I called twice, voicemail. No reply. I commented on one of her Facebook posts asking her to call me, and she deleted it. I felt sick. I was angry at her. But I was even angrier at myself for agreeing to it. I kept going over the moment we said yes. The money was just gone. Our Italy dream was gone. Then, 3 months later, I was scrolling Instagram on a Sunday morning. And there she was. Becca, in a hotel suite in Paris, wearing a silk robe and sipping champagne. The caption? I dropped my phone. I went to her page. It was all there. Pictures under the Eiffel Tower. Wine tastings. Shopping at designer boutiques. She even posted a reel where she winked at the camera and said, "A little advice, invest in yourself. It'll pay off." I showed Nate. His face turned completely red. He just stared at the screen and said, "She used our money." We didn't say anything for weeks. We were both so pissed we didn't know what to do. Nate said he felt like a fool. I felt like we'd been robbed. I started talking to a lawyer friend from work. He said we had a solid small claims case with a signed agreement and our transaction record. I filed the papers in early November. Now here's the part that still gives me chills. Thanksgiving. We go to Nate's parents' place every year. It's always awkward because Becca never helps with anything. She shows up late, stays glued to her phone, and leaves early. But this time was different. She strutted in like she was royalty, wearing a long cream-colored coat and boots that had to cost over $1,000. New designer purse. Full glam makeup. She gave me this smug little smirk and said, "You look tired. You working too much?" I said nothing. Dinner was fine. Quiet. I could barely look at her. Nate didn't say a word to her. Then, during dessert, Becca raised her wine glass and tapped her spoon to it. She stood up, and she said, "I swear to God, I just want to say how thankful I am for this year. For the freedom to chase my dreams. For believing in myself. Not everyone understands what it means to bet on yourself. But it pays off. To self-made success." That was it. I reached into my purse and pulled out the envelope. I said, "Becca, since you're so thankful for your success, here's something you earned." She looked confused. Took the envelope. Opened it. Her face went blank. She looked up at me like I had stabbed her. "What the hell is this?" "It's a lawsuit," I said. "You owe us $8,200. Plus interest. Plus filing fees. We'll see you in court." Dead silence. Her mom gasped and said, "Caroline." At Thanksgiving. I didn't even blink. We've been waiting for months. This is the only way we'll ever get the truth out of her. Becca's hands were shaking. "You're suing me? You're really doing this?" I looked at her, dead in the eye. "You stole from us. You lied. Then you went on vacation with our money." "Yeah, I'm really doing this." She didn't say another word. Just stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Her parents stared at us. Nate just said, "You don't get to act shocked when actions have consequences." After Thanksgiving, things got worse, way worse. 2 days later, we got a call from Nate's mom. She was crying. Said we'd torn the family apart by suing Becca. She begged us to drop the case, said Becca was humiliated, and that we should just let it go. I told her flat out, she stole from us. It's not just going away. Then Nate got a text from his dad. All it said was, "I raised you better than this." Becca? She went full victim mode. She posted a long, dramatic Facebook status. "Some people would rather tear you down than see you succeed." Funny how family is quick to switch up when you start shining. I may be getting sued, but at least I'm not bitter and broke. Nate's cousin sent us screenshots. It got hundreds of likes. Her friends commented things like, "They're just jealous." And, "Don't let toxic people bring you down, queen." Even one of Nate's aunts commented, "You're doing amazing, sweetie." That post hurt more than I expected. Not just because she lied, but because people believed her. And then came the twist I didn't see coming. A few weeks before the court date, Nate got an email from a woman named Erica. She said, "I don't know you, but I saw your name on a post Becca made about a lawsuit. I think you should know, she borrowed money from me too. And never paid me back." I reached out to Erica. She was 29, lived in Columbus. Said she met Becca through a women's entrepreneur group online. Becca pitched her the same hair care idea. Told her she was almost funded, but needed just a little more to hit her first milestone. Erica sent her $3,000. Never got a dime back. Then another woman reached out. And another. By the time the court date came, I'd spoken to 4 different women. All had sent Becca between $1,000 and $5,000. All with the same story, fake business, empty promises, then silence. One of them even filed her own small claims case. Another was considering pressing charges. I gathered the emails and statements, showed them to our lawyer. He said it wouldn't affect our case directly, but it could help show a pattern of behavior if Becca tried to play innocent in court. 2 days before the court date, Becca messaged Nate. Her first message in almost 6 months. It said, "Let's talk. Please. Not like this." He didn't answer. The next day, she called me. I let it go to voicemail. Her message? Tears, begging, saying she was sorry, that she got overwhelmed, and that she just wanted to make it right. But she never said how. I didn't respond. We were done with words. Then the court date came. Becca showed up in a black blazer, no makeup, looking nothing like her Instagram self. She brought a folder. Tried to say the money was a gift, not a loan. Tried to say we were supporting her business voluntarily. But the judge read the signed agreement out loud. Then I handed over our messages, the bank transfer, and a printed copy of the vacation photo with the "hard work pays off" caption. The judge looked at her and said, "You expect me to believe this was a misunderstanding?" She didn't even answer, just stared at the floor. We won the case. Judgment for the full amount, $8, $200 plus $400 interest, plus $75 court costs. But here's the kicker. She doesn't have the money. Not anymore. Winning in court should have felt like victory. It didn't. Because the minute the judge ruled in our favor, Becca's face changed. She didn't look angry. She looked smug. Like she knew something we didn't. Outside the courthouse, as Nate and I walked to the car, she followed us into the parking lot. She said, "You know I'm broke, right? You're never seeing a dime. But go ahead. Celebrate. Hope it was worth it." Then she turned and walked away. That hit harder than I expected. Because legally, we'd won, but practically, we were still screwed. You can't squeeze money from someone who doesn't have it. Over the next few weeks, we filed paperwork to garnish her wages. That's when we found out she hadn't held a real job in over a year. No paycheck to pull from. No assets in her name. Her car? Leased under her boyfriend's name. The apartment? A sublet. She'd covered her tracks. Nate was crushed. So she gets away with it? I told him no. Not yet. That's when I decided to go public. I made a post on Facebook. Just the facts. No insults. No drama. Just a timeline. The money, the promise, the ghosting, the lawsuit, and her Paris trip. I added, "I'm posting this because I've been contacted by multiple other women she borrowed from. If this helps anyone else avoid her, it's worth it." It went viral in our town. People started sharing it, commenting, tagging friends. Then more messages started rolling in. Becca hadn't just borrowed from strangers online. She owed money to a woman she worked with 2 years ago. She still had unpaid invoices from a graphic designer who helped her with her first branding package. Even a wedding photographer claimed Becca never paid for edited photos she used in a fake product shoot. It was a web. All these small amounts, just enough that most people didn't bother chasing her down legally. She'd been doing this for years. One of the women messaged me and said, "You're the first person who's ever taken her to court. The rest of us just gave up." It clicked right then. Becca didn't need to win in court. She counted on people not fighting back. But the real twist? That came in late January. Nate got a call from a guy named Marcus. He used to date Becca. Said he was still on the lease for her apartment and just got served his own lawsuit for unpaid rent. He was furious. Told us she'd stopped paying 3 months ago, then bailed to go on some product retreat in California. We asked him if he knew where she went. He said no idea. But she was staying with some rich guy she met on Instagram. Said he was gonna help her scale her brand. That's when the pieces started coming together. Becca wasn't just some broke screw-up anymore. She was a scammer. Full stop. She floated from person to person, took what she could, and bounced before consequences hit. But this time, I wasn't going to let her just disappear again. I started working with one of the other women who had filed against her. We pulled together everything, every name, every transaction, every social media brag. And we sent it all to a local news station's Problem Solvers tip line. It took a couple weeks, but then a reporter called me back. They were interested. They wanted to run a story. The reporter's name was Janice. Middle-aged, sharp, calm. She asked a lot of questions and took notes the entire time. She wasn't looking for gossip, she wanted proof. I gave her everything. The signed loan agreement, the court ruling, the Instagram screenshots, and copies of messages from the other women Becca scammed. Then I put her in touch with Erica, Marcus, and 2 more women who hadn't spoken out yet. Within 2 weeks, they were filming interviews. They even got a few local business owners Becca had ghosted on payments to go on camera. The story aired the first week of February. The segment was called Dreams or Deception? The scattered trail of a local, self-made businesswoman. They blurred her face for legal reasons, but everyone who knew Becca recognized her instantly. They showed footage of the lawsuit ruling. They showed clips from her public Instagram, talked about the unpaid debts, and even aired her toast from Thanksgiving because one of Nate's cousins had filmed it for a TikTok and shared it with the reporter. The fallout hit fast. Becca deleted every one of her social media accounts within 24 hours. Her business website vanished too. Then came the real punch. A police officer showed up at our house with more questions. It turns out, one of the women Becca borrowed from had filed a formal complaint, not just civil, but criminal fraud. The officer asked if we'd be willing to give a full statement. We said yes, without blinking. The next week, Becca was arrested, charged with fraud and theft by deception. Her bond was low, and she got out within a day, but her mugshot made it onto the local news site. That smug, perfect Instagram smile? Gone. She looked tired, lost, like all her fake confidence had been drained out. Nate didn't say much, just sat on the porch the night it hit the news and whispered, "About time." Becca's parents called us again, this time, sobbing. Said we'd ruined her life. I told them flat out, she ruined our trust. We'd just finally exposed it. Here's the part I'll admit. I didn't get the money back. Not most of it, anyway. After garnishment started and she lost everything, we got a few $100s total. Nothing close to the $8,200 she took. Italy is still on hold. But you know what I did get? Truth. Everyone in the family finally saw her for who she really was. No more excuses. No more, Becca's just finding herself. No more pretending. Thanksgiving this year? We're not going. Nate told his mom, "We'll come back when people start treating theft like theft, not family drama." And me? I started my own private Facebook group for victims of small-time fraud and scams. We share tips, legal help, and support. It's small, but growing. Do I feel guilty? Honestly? A little. I wish it hadn't come to this. I wish I'd said no from the beginning. I wish I hadn't let Nate talk me into loaning the money. That was my mistake. I put trust ahead of common sense. And I paid for it. But Becca? She built her world on lies. And when it all came crashing down, she couldn't blame anyone but herself. Actions have consequences. Sometimes, it just takes a lawsuit at Thanksgiving dinner to make that clear.